Okay, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mad Marty story. Obviously I'm Mad Marty Wilson, and somebody has just asked me if I could play cards with anybody I wanted to in the world. Who would it be? Well, ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention for what I feel is the most important story I've ever told in my life. And this will astound you. This might change your life forever, but this will show you the strength of the British poker player. This will show you the heart of the British poker player. And when I tell you it's a true story, it is a true story, because I only tell lies to women I've had affairs with. That's it. But I want you to cast your mind back to the 7th of July 2005, because that's where it started. It started there. I had stopped in a hotel, in the Ibis Hotel opposite Euston Station. It was the day the bombs went off. Everywhere was in absolute turmoil. A buzz had been blown up. The subway had been trapped. There was no taxis. My phone was down. And we were running a poker tournament at the Dorchester Hotel, Park Lane. And when I tell you it was a prestigious tournament, it was one of those tournaments that you do now and then. It was £330 to sit down for the meal, and then they paid an extra £100 on top to play the poker tournament. And I was there to organise the poker tournament, and I had to get 35 dealers from Wolverhampton. And because of all the things that had gone wrong in the day, I had to walk from Euston Station to the Dorchester Hotel, Park Lane. And not to be deterred, I stood up like the Englishman I am, and I carried my chip box, and I walked all the way to the Dorchester Hotel. And when I got there, I could see a coach arriving from Wolverhampton carrying 35 hand-picked dealers. And we all got changed, and everybody turned up in the Dorchester Hotel that night, except for one person. And this one person that didn't turn up was about to change my life forever, because he had absolutely no idea for him not turning up. And he had excuses. That there was a whole disaster going on in London. He had excuses. And Barry Hearn said to me, "Martin, we haven't got an after dinner speaker. Can you get up and talk on any subject you like, anything you like?" And earlier on in the day, somebody had said to me, if you could play cards with anybody in the world, who would it be? And let me tell you who it would be. Well, I'll tell you later on in the story. But Barry Hearn said, go up there, talk about somebody, talk about anything you want. So I got up on the stage. I'd never ever spoke in front of an audience before, and I said, hands up who know me. And 35 dealers from Wolverhampton put their hands up. And then I said, hands up who don't know me. And 35 property developers. 35 property developers. I mean 350 property developers from London put their hand up and said they'd never heard of me again. That was it. I was in all kinds of trouble. But I knew I had the audience, because I then said, hands up who couldn't give a toss if they ever see me again. And they all put their hands up, and that was it. I had them held down to the ground. I had them screwed to the floor. I had them riveted. At that, I told him that I'd been a gambler. But I didn't just wake up one morning and become a gambler. At the age of 10, I used to play truancy from school, and I used to go to my nan's house, and she was 80, and I loved her with a passion. And my 80-year-old nan and me used to go across a canal lock and under a pick fence, and we used to sneak into Dunstall racetrack. And I remember one day specifically, we were there, it was a sunny day on Dunstall racetrack, and she said to me, Martin, read out the horses, which I did. Pink Lady, no. Mansion House, no. Hard Ransom, that's the one, my grandson. I said, no, Nan, I said Hard Ransom. She said, that's the one, my grandson. We had 2 and 6 each way on it. at 33-1. The stalls opened. Hard Ransom fled out of the stalls. It led from start to finish. We received £15 and 15 shillings that day off the hardest bookmaker that had ever walked the floorboards of Dunstall Racecourse, Mr. D.B. Brooks. £15 and 15 shillings. We sat on the grass at Dunstall Racetrack, drinking Bohemian style beer and eating vanilla ice cream, courtesy of the hardest bookmaker that had ever walked on a track, Mr. D.B. Brooks. After that, me and my gran used to set up systems. We had things going for us all the while, and we used to do beaten favourites that come out and run within 3 or 4 days. And the one day, I was 15 years of age, the one day we had 5 out of 5 up, and we'd put them together in a Super Yankee, and we had won enough money to buy a brand new Mini 1973. We'd won over £1,100, and we used to keep the money in my grandma's house in an ottoman. And I remember that year my father said to me, son, because he could never remember my name, he said, son, this year we're going to go to Jersey for our holidays. We're going to go to the Hotel de France. We're going to fly there. We're going to have a holiday of a lifetime. He said, how do you feel about that, son? And I said, Dad, can I stop with me nan? He said, stop with your nan? Stop with your nan? I was 15 years of age. I said, yeah. And he said to me, you think I'm stupid? And it was that one day, you know, in that one day when you come into puberty and you answer your parents back. And I said, yeah, I think you're stupid. Oh God. And my dad used to hit me. And when I say he used to hit me, he used to say to me, go and get something to hit me with. And I used to go, and I'd come back with a pillow or the cushion. Anyway, this day he went really mad. He said, okay, you can stop at your nan's. And that week we went down to Goodwood Races, which is actually on this week. And we stopped at the Connaught Hotel. And at this time my nan was in a wheelchair, and I wheeled her all round Goodwood on the hill. And we had the time of our life. Every night me and my nan would share a bottle of milk stout. And these were the golden days. And I'd created a few bob together, and I'd bought myself a scooter and a few things, and we were the king and queen of all creation. Anyway, as our gambling days went on, I'll never forget it. I was down at the Vine in Ford Houses at Wolverhampton, and my mother had sent somebody into the betting shop to fetch me out, and it was a guy called Paul Flannery, and he hardly knew me, and I said, Paul, what's up? What do you want me for? He says, you've got to go home. Your mum wants to see you. And as I walked home that day, it was like there was a coldness round me. And I got home and my mum said, sit down. And she broke this really, really sad news to me that my nan had passed away. And it was the saddest day of my life. But the thing was, right, I still had her spirit in me for the gambling, and I've still got it to this day. And when we went to the funeral, the car went down South Street and it turned up onto Jones's Road and it turned left onto Bushbury Road. And at the top of Bushbury Road, I'll never forget this, there was a man stood with a cap on, and he took the cap off and he placed it under his arm, and he looked down at the floor. And I looked at the man, and it was Mr. D.B. Brooks, the hardest bookmaker that had ever walked on a track. And somebody asked me earlier today if he could play cards with anybody in the world, who would it be? And I said it'd have to be me nan, so I could tell her about Mr. D.B. Brooks. Thank you.